Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Good, thank you. Thanks for asking. Beautiful day out there. So, last seminar, the July seminar, we had Dr. Tom Olbrich was the presenter, surgeon at the Cleveland Clinic, correct? And so we usually spend about 5 or 10 minutes doing a reflection. We did discuss extensively some of the points in his presentation that were, I thought, extremely impactful. But let's talk a little bit about what you got out of Dr. Olbrich's seminar. Who wants to start? Yes, Vivian.
I like how he was completely honest about the balance between work and home life for him, because then we have to see like how it does affect the rest of his life.
The work-life balance part. Yeah. Y'all remember the work-life balance part? And I think we did talk a little bit more that it's not only in the medical profession. The work-life balance part can get to you really in any career that you choose. So I was in sales and marketing. Mr. Sipek runs a company. He can tell you, Mr. DiPietro, billion-dollar hedge fund manager, he can tell you about work-life balance. It's really something you need to consider. And if you can get that in order up front, it will really save you a lot of anxiety and a lot of troubles. Okay? What else about Dr. Olbrich's talk? Yes, Caleb?
I like how he talked about how connected he was to each of the patients he had and how much he meant to them and how much they meant to him.
How connected he was to the patients. Very cool. Dr. Olbrich obviously took a lot of pride and responsibility in getting connected with his patients. Sometimes it's like your teachers and your educators too. They take an awful lot of pride in you, and they really love the connection with their students. So another analogy, another career path. What else? Anything else? Yes?
I enjoyed hearing how he was talking about how there is no like single way to get where you want to be. Everybody has like their own path.
Yes. Cool. So, you know, Mr. LaRocca, who's not here, is in engineering. When I was talking to him, and I said, wow, engineering, I said, boy, they got to go on, they got to get their degree, maybe graduate, they go, what do they got to do? He goes, Tom, there's 50 different career paths in engineering. He opens up this website, and sure enough, it's the same with medical. And Dr. Marvin, who's heading up the medical program, and his wife, Cindy, they're showing me 50, 60 different ways, to pursue medical careers. And you don't all have to want to be brain surgeons or heart specialists, And the way the medical industry is changing and going to change, the healthcare industry, there's going to be many more opportunities. I mean, what is it, is it nurse practitioners? Huge, absolutely huge field, nurse practitioners. I talked to Mr. Sipek, and I know a lot of doctors that we play golf with and stuff, and they're dying for qualified people in that office, and those nurse practitioners are really a great career path. What else? Take one or two more. Justine?
I like how he said, he stressed how important networking was, and he just reiterated what his entire program is about, and networking got him somewhere, and it just showed that it was important.
Network. Yeah. very important. Justine's working at Glenmore, and she was a receptionist at the Spark. She's now working over on the hotel end. And so, have you been doing some networking over at
A lot of
Glenmore?
networking.
A lot of networking, so she's doing a lot of networking.
I had people tell me that if I don't stay at Glenmore, just to call them, and I have their numbers, so.
You have their numbers, so now you have Rolodex full of contacts. And Rolodex, yeah, that's true. Nobody uses a Rolodex anymore. Okay, one more. Anybody else? No?
I liked the part where he wasn't just a doctor seeing patients. He was involved in a lot of committees, a lot of groups. He was kind of like what all the students work on, just not going to school each
Yeah.
day, but whether it's playing sports, being part of groups at school, and and that's really what I think. It wasn't just what he could do with patients. It was, he was helping the Cleveland Clinic go to another level by being part of different types of groups. I think that's constant throughout your whole life, not just.
Yeah. Yeah, the contributions that you want to make, and hopefully right now you're focused on school. Hopefully you're focused on this program, which we think is pretty important. Then we'll get you focused on a career path, but you'll have a time when you want something more, and what Dr. Olbrich does, what members of our operating committee are doing, what Officer Eckerman is about to do, what Mr. Bruner, what a lot of your teachers do, is all over and above. This is all over the top, and this is because they want to do it and they have it here. So make sure you don't shortchange yourself and find something your heart wants to do too, and make sure you give back. It's important. Okay, thanks. With that, I'm going to have Mr. Sipek come and introduce our distinguished speaker.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I met Officer Eckerman, I think it's 2 years ago, and I walked into church on a Saturday evening, saw my pastor talking to a police officer. I said, oh, this could be an interesting sermon today. And because you don't usually see a police officer at church. And it was probably, because I still do, I have 4 children, but at the time, I know they're involved in Facebook, and they're good kids. I mean, everybody's going to say that about their children, hopefully. But I had 2 in college at the time, and 2 in grad school at the time. And, I'm not on Facebook, and that's probably number 1. I hate being on the computer. Number 2, I think it's a good thing, too, in a way, but I know all of you are. And my society, who many of you know, is obviously it's a great way of communication. It's also a great way to get in trouble if you don't watch yourself. And I listened to the officer that day at church, and it was just story after story and examples, and I'm saying to myself, wow, this would be great. I really wish that, and she had the good fortune of talking to probably 2,000-3,000 people that weekend, but I said her message needs to constantly get out to students to really help them. When we started camp, Tom and I were with a bunch of operating committee members saying, hey, how do we kick this off and whatever, and hopefully we tried to do this last year, but because of scheduling conflicts, it couldn't happen, but we kept in touch with Officer Eckerman, and she said, Mr. Venturella, Mr. Sarek, glad to come back. And she's really giving up her time, her day, to kind of step out and be with us. In her presentation, we kind of tried to do it, Mr. Venturella and myself, and to be honest with you, I think I stumbled a little bit on that one. And I think her message, it just is much more powerful. And, you can see, even in the short period of time that I've had the great pleasure of knowing her, she's already done a few, she's on to different things already. She's got great experience in the Jackson Township Police Department. And you all have a copy of her bio. I just pointed out she's in charge of the evidence room. She's also assigned to Patrol Division. She processes evidence, court runs, lab runs, logging all incoming, outgoing property, and evidence, destruction orders, transfer orders. And at the time when I first met her, I think you were in charge of I don't know what that
I'm
condition.
in the detective bureau, I did all of our internet crime
Internet
cases
crimes,
and
yeah, I'm
child
sorry,
pornography
yeah.
cases.
So I mean, I know you'll be fascinated by our presentation today because and kind of caught, it showed me, I mean, I thought I knew stuff, but when she went through that, I didn't realize the intricacies and how careful you have to be. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Rickman. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for having me. I mean, I think this is a great program. I think it's great that you guys have taken a Sunday out of your time to be here. A lot of my presentation, I don't really do this much more. I'm on patrol now. I try to change it a little bit because I normally present to parents, teachers. I've given this presentation to middle school. I've given it to seniors. I've given it to numerous different people. So I tried to make it more for your age group. So if there are some things in there that are younger kids, just, you know, I know that a lot of you guys probably have siblings, so you can still take something from it back home. I just also wanted to touch base when they were talking about the job and juggling the job and your home life. If any of you are thinking about getting in law enforcement, I mean, that's a huge, you gotta take that into consideration. You know, you have to work Christmas, you have to work weekends. A lot of times when you start, you're on noons, so you don't get to see your family that much. So, you know, if you guys are interested in that, I'm more than happy to stay and talk to you guys later to get you guys some more information, but that is one thing that you wanna take into consideration if you're looking into that. I've been with Jackson for 8 years. Prior to that, I worked for the Stark County Sheriff's Office, and like he was saying, I was in the Detective Bureau for 4 years. There was some reconstruction going on over there, so they moved some people around and back on road, which I like just as much. These kind of cases can get to you after a while. I don't think that a lot of you realize, and it's not even just kids, it's not even teenagers, it's adults even, don't realize with social media what can happen with your life. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. You're gonna have to bear with me with this computer too. I'm used to having a remote. And I talk fast. So if I start getting too fast, raise your hand and yell at me. All right, the topics of discussion are gonna be on internet online predators, sexting, cyberbullying. I have some other things in there too I added for you. I just think this slide's funny. I always add it for my oh, you can't see the whole thing. All right, it just says, hi, you sound real cute. How old are you? And what do you like doing after school? And he says, I am 14 and a bit of a fitness fanatic. I often go powerlifting after school. This is so true. I did this for so long where I would be in the Detective Bureau talking like I was. I'm sure you guys have all seen Dateline and To Catch a Predator. I did that. And every single one that I talked to, every single guy or girl, I mean, there was both online, it was never who they said they were. I mean, I had the advantage of, you know, doing subpoenas, finding out their IP address to see who it really was. It was never who they said they were. So you guys gotta be really careful when you're going on there talking. You don't know who you're talking to. I think this police chief said it good. He says, it's like going to a big empty field and putting a big plate of ice cream on a blanket, walking away for an hour, coming back and finding out how many ants and flies are there. That's what it's like. It's almost unbelievable how many people are out there every day searching in chat rooms for children. I would have so many people trying to talk to me, so many of these types of people talking to me, that I would have to literally delete. I mean, I would have up to 20 at a time within a 10-minute period. It's like fishing in a bucket. So who are you really chatting with online? He says he's 16, or she says she's 16. Is he really 36, 46, 56?
Meeting a teen girl online is actually pretty easy. You can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for
Attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys my age.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really interested.
Interested in the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
Chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
Online predators know what they're doing. Do you?
I'm a member of ICAC, it's Internet Crimes Against Children. So I work a lot with Homeland Security, FBI, Secret Service. I work with all different agencies. You would be surprised how many cases we have, like all over the United States, with predators in Stark County and vice versa victims. And I mean, I've had victims as young as 10 years old. So, I mean, this is, this isn't just something you see on TV, this actually happens. So who are these predators that are out there? Currently, there are close to 750,000 registered sex offenders in the United States. 90% are Caucasian who had relatively stable incomes and employed at the time of their arrest. 60% live in the suburbs, live in your areas. 35% are married. 80% are convicted sex offenders, and they have access to a computer. I mean, just because they get out of jail, I mean, we all have access to technology. So what's happening now? Unfortunately, these types of cases happen on a daily basis. These are just a few of them that I found to share with you. I went to a training class, and everybody always says it's never gonna happen to me, it's not my kid, it's not gonna, every single presentation I would give, whether it was 50 parents, 100 parents, students, I would always have somebody raise their hand and say, well, my kid's a good kid, they wouldn't do this. Every single time, a month later, I would have that parent in my office with a situation that happened with their student or their child, every single time. So I think sometimes, people just think because they are a good kid, they're in sports, they get good grades, it's not gonna happen. I had another case where I worked with FBI on, and I went through training, and they shared a story with us where the dad was a police officer. This was in California, and his daughter was online on Facebook talking to somebody who she thought was a 16-year-old from an area where she was in, a couple hours away. She'd been talking to him for months. I mean, I'm talking 6-7 months. Well, he was getting all this information through her, what her dad did, and she thought she was just like, you guys talking to each other. Well, here it turned out, the guy was getting all this information, using a fake picture, was getting all this information to see when her dad worked, found out her parents were divorced, her brother was in college. They found her in the trunk of this guy's car with duct tape. She was dead, raped and killed. I just can't emphasize enough how you guys accept everybody. I mean, I just did it. I tried one time, I made a fake Facebook account, and I just wanted to see how many people would accept me that didn't even know me using a fake picture. 98% accept. You don't even know who you're talking to. 19-year-old male in Arizona is stopped on a routine traffic stop. He has a 15 and 16-year-old girl in the car, both of who he met on the internet. And the girls were there on their own accord. I mean, they just don't think anything's gonna happen. 48-year-old Tennessee man is arrested for soliciting a 12-year-old girl online for sex. 22-year-old state trooper with the Colorado State Patrol tried to convince what he thought was a 14-year-old girl on the internet to have a sexual relationship with him. It could be police officer, fireman, teacher, it doesn't have to be the typical guy that you think's like in the shady van with the tinted windows. I mean, it can be the guy next door. Everett, age 33, was arrested for chatting online with who he thought was a 14-year-old girl he had met in a chat room. Everett allegedly engaged in a graphic sexual conversation with an undercover agent and propositioned the agent, who was posing as a 14-year-old girl, to meet him for sex. I put this in there because I think his booking photo is funny. World's greatest dad, yeah. Most of the guys that I had, cases I had, most of the guys were married, had children. 71% of you guys have established online profiles. How many of you guys have phones, cell phones? You guys have internet access on your phone? You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? I don't have Facebook either. I'm with you. I was on it for about a month, and it was horrible. I felt like I was back in high school all over again. I could not get over some of the things people were posting. We're 40 years old, and these people were acting like they were in middle school. It was insane to me. and the things that people were posting on there, I can't deal with that, and I'm gonna get into that with you guys later. 16% have created a private profile to hide what they're doing online from their parents. 32% of teens clear the browser history to hide what they're doing online from their parents. 11% have unlocked or disabled parenting filter controls. I know that you guys want your own privacy, and I get that, but you know if you're doing something wrong. You know if you don't want somebody to read it, then don't type it. Because that situation I was telling you guys about with the police officer and his daughter, he didn't know her password, he didn't know anything. Now had he had that information, they would have been able to find that guy a lot sooner than they did, and she might have lived. I mean, that's important. I know that you guys don't want your parents snooping at what you're doing, but you gotta think of the consequences. 52% of teens have given out personal information online to someone they don't know. 65% of high school students admit to unsafe, inappropriate, or illegal activities online. Okay, so how many of you guys have webcams? Or do you guys do FaceTime? A lot of you guys do that. I mean, I think it's good. I mean, the thing is it's a double-edged sword. I mean, the internet can be so good for so many reasons, and I know a lot of people have relatives that live out of state. I think that that's great. I just am really against webcams in bedrooms. I don't think that there's really any need to have that in a bedroom. I think it causes nothing but problems. I always tell parents that I think that you should have it in a main area. I think that a lot of times you guys do things behind closed doors when you're in front of that phone or computer that you wouldn't do if people were watching you. I don't sugarcoat this presentation either, so if any of this offends somebody, I'm sorry. This never goes away. You can't delete this. When you guys are doing this stuff, it stays on there forever. I'm on the computer, doing my homework. What kids don't understand is the dangers that are associated with the internet. As parents, teachers, administrators, police officers, it's our responsibility to teach you guys what could happen when you do these things. And I know with this program, you guys are trying to get a career. And like I said, a lot of these things don't ever go away. I have so many parents come in and they want something done with the sexting and well, my daughter sent this picture to her boyfriend and it was only supposed to go to her him, and they've been together for a whole 6 months and they're gonna get married, right? Because when you guys date somebody for 3 months, it's like huge. Well, the thing is that I can't get it to go away. Secret Service we can delete it. It's never truly gone, ever. I have a girl that came in, and the poor girl now has graduated from high school, went through absolute hell, sent a picture to her boyfriend, it's spread out throughout 3 schools. It's still out there. And that's with Secret Service, FBI, my department, and another department working to try to get it off. It never goes away. Now every time this girl applies for a job, if they pull that up, that's what they're gonna see. This girl, she was at a Catholic high school, she's a 6th grader, she made good grades. She was on the cheerleading squad, an altar girl. On the internet, she used provocative screen names and had sex with partners she would meet in chat rooms. These are the parents I would have that say my daughter would never do this. Her body was found on May 17, 2002. She was strangled by a married restaurant worker she met on the internet. These are just some tips that I like to give people. And once you already know the person offline, you should always assume the person you are dealing with on the internet is not who they claim to be. Remember what I told you guys, every single person I talked to, every single one, there wasn't one that was who they claimed to be. Not one. And I mean, I'm talking hundreds. My case files were in boxes, so never one. Never give out your personal information like last name, address, phone numbers, schools. A lot of times you guys post selfies and different things with your school name on it, and you guys have accepted all these friends on Facebook where you have 5,000 friends, and really to even know who these people are. Never arranged to meet somebody, obviously. If an online friend asks sexually suggestive questions, you need to just ignore and back off. If it persists, tell an adult. Set your profile on private. And again, like I was telling you, your parents should really know your internet history or how to at least know your password. Even if you guys kind of sit down with them and just say, you know, you guys seem like good kids. Look, I mean, I don't really want you snooping in my business, but if you have it somewhere and like they can even seal it in an envelope, if something would happen to you guys, I mean, that's huge for law enforcement, for us to be able to get into your computer. It's huge. Don't post anything online or on your phone that you'll later be ashamed and embarrassed by. Sexting has become a huge problem. We have people in and out of that department weekly about this. What is sexting? Sexting is when someone sends sexual images, photos, or videos electronically using cell phones. About 20% of teens engage in this dangerous game. I kind of, like I said, since I'm on patrol now, I'm not in the Detective Bureau anymore, so I tried to tweak this a little bit to try to update it as much as I could. In 2014, 40% of all teenagers have posted or sent sexually suggestive messages. It's already gone up 20% since I did this 2 years ago. 51% of teen girls cite pressure from guys as a reason to send the message. 20% of all teens have sent or posted nude or semi-nude pics. 48% of teens feel adults are overreacting when sexual message or pictures are sent to each other. And this is what I was trying to explain to you guys. When you send it to one person and you think it's just for that one person, it could go in a matter of seconds to, you know, your best friend, your mom, your teacher. Sexting, and a lot of you guys don't know this, is currently illegal under federal law. It falls under the creation, distribution, and possession of child pornography. It's a felony. So if you guys get caught sending those pictures, if a girl sends one or a guy sends one, you're creating child pornography, that's a felony. If you forward that, you're distributing it. I mean, our prosecutors are so fed up with this that they are prosecuting people now. They're done with it. It's just creating so many problems. This is Jesse Logan. When I was putting this presentation together, I just think that this is a great story to have in here for you guys to hear. I don't think that you realize what it can do to somebody's life.
A very, very serious subject, though. We want to begin this half hour with a beautiful teenager from Ohio and the spur-of-the-moment decision that haunted her until the end. We're going to talk to her grieving mother in just a couple of minutes. But first, here's NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
She was young, pretty, a perfectly normal student, and seemingly had the world by the tail until Jesse Logan made one awful mistake. Her mother, Cynthia.
She snapped. It was just too much for an 18-year-old girl to go through.
A year ago, using her cell phone, she took a nude photo of herself and sent it to her boyfriend. It's a new practice among teens that's come to be known as sexting. But when they broke up, she was betrayed, and that compromising photo was forwarded to the cell phones of hundreds of other teens. Jessie became the focus of ridicule and abuse.
She was being attacked and tortured, actually, by people. Things were being thrown at her.
Humiliated and frightened, last May, Jessie warned of the dangers of sexting by giving an interview in silhouette with her voice altered to NBC affiliate WLWT in Cincinnati.
I still get harassed and stuff, and I'm sorry.
Her friends say Jessie started to spiral downward.
When she would come to school, she would always hear like people calling her, "Oh, that's the girl who sent the picture. She's just a whore. She wants attention."
Still, in spite of the ongoing harassment, Jessie graduated and was looking forward to getting on with her life. Then, last July, she attended the funeral of a teen who had committed suicide, which may have put her in the wrong state of mind. Jessie returned home and did the same thing.
And I scanned the room, and her closet doors were open. And I walked over into her room and saw her hanging. Her cell phone was in the middle of the floor.
You just never think that a person like Jessie
would even think about doing something like that.
Numerous cases of sexting have been reported around the country. The problem, doctors say, teenagers are often unable to recognize long-term consequences.
In the moment, it's to a teenager just fine. It's when it goes to the whole school or to the employer or to the college admissions office. That's when the trouble, and that's what they're not thinking about.
It is something that haunted Jesse Logan.
I just want to make sure that